Well, I'm going to say good afternoon. How's your day going aside from answering the same questions over and over and over again today?
Couldn't be in a better mood today.
Wow. Okay. Well, I hope not to sink that. So congrats on SantaCon. Love prior work you've done, etc. But how long did the SantaCon documentary take from concept to like finishing it?
I mean, this movie took 4 years to make, and I can remember the exact day it began. I was at a bar in New York, and I ran into my old friend Scott Beal, and somehow SantaCon came up in conversation. And like everybody who has ever lived in New York City or any of the other cities that host a SantaCon, all I knew about SantaCon was this is the worst thing in the world. Run, hide, lock up your family. Ew. And I never thought there might be some other story behind it. But
Mhm.
Scott started telling me about how he and his friends had started this thing in the 90s and how different it used to be, and how these are the same people who started Burning Man and inspired Fight Club and Project Mayhem. And
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? And then he just says to me, he goes, Seth, I personally filmed the first several years of SantaCon if you ever just want to see the footage. And I said, yes. And then I see this footage, and the movie just came to life in my head. And over the past 4 years, that's what we've been making.
I applaud the structure of the film, not just the story and the content, but what you just said is basically how it opens, where a
Yes.
lot of documentaries have the no point in turning back kind of thing, and then the person goes, but it wasn't always this way, and then they
Yeah.
rewind to the beginning. You avoided that cliche, and it's to be applauded with all that. But was Scott hesitant of telling his story the way that he did for the film?
Well, it wasn't just Scott who gave me their story to make this film possible. I mean, like it was a group called the Cacophony Society. It started SantaCon, it started Burning Man, and so many key people were just so generous with their time and their imagery and this who they are, their personalities, their stories. And they weren't really that hesitant, I think. I think there's a lot of skepticism about how SantaCon and the story might be told because it's so widely detested in the present day. But I'd known Scott for 15 years, and I think that innate trust we had
Yeah.
really carried over to all the other people in the story. And they had all seen my past work, especially Class Action Park, and I think they all liked it. And so that helped.
So Class Action Park, I'd have to imagine that has opened up doors for you. In other words, that's a piece where people go, "Oh, okay, so he can tell the good and the bad, but make it funny in a way." Did you know that it was going to be such a career-changing film when you were putting it together?
I mean, Class Action Park was a scrappy DIY, zero budget documentary I made with a couple of friends, most notably my friend Chris Scott, who's my co-director on it. And to say that any of us had any idea that that film would speak to the audience the way it did, would break through the way it did, and honestly change our lives the way it did, would be a lie. I mean, we all have delusions when we make a movie and dreams about how it's going to turn out. And I guess every once in a while, those delusions and dreams actually come true.
So a recent film that I did a junket for, the directors did a kind of an implied uh, action park thing called Traction Park Massacre. Was that on your
Oh,
radar?
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I certainly still have my Google alerts for Action Park set up in Class Action Park. And so I definitely caught the trailer for that movie.
So now that you're kind of on this trajectory of interesting topics, but doing the funny side of it, the opposite of kind of dark side of the ring and the dark side thing, where it always makes you feel bad about the thing. Yours, in a way, makes it uplifting, even if it's a weird topic. Is this the direction that you keep wanting to go in as a director?
I think all my movies have some shared DNA in the sense that it's not about uplifting or depressing. It's about, exhibiting the complexities and nuance of life in which these things coexist, right? Like the good and the bad are there together. Nothing's just good. Nothing is
Hmm.
just bad. Things change from good to bad and back and forth. And we humans are all of these things at once. And I think the reason Class Action Park spoke to people is because it showed how humor and levity and fun can coexist with tragedy. And my next movie for Netflix, How to Rob a Bank, I think had a lot of the same traits to it. And I think the SantaCon movie certainly does as well.
How far ahead are you thinking in terms of projects? Because you just mentioned 4 years on this one. So I'd have to
Yeah.
imagine you have a few things going on at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, when we say 4 years, obviously it's not every second of every day. For 4 years, filmmaking is
Yeah.
a long, drawn-out process in which you're doing other things at the same time, hopefully, and nurturing other projects that are different stages. And I'm constantly thinking of ideas for future projects, and you have to because of those 100 ideas you have, one will make it to the finish line, right? And so you really just constantly have to be coming up with new ideas and then stress testing them and seeing if they play out how they hope they will play out. And so, yeah, I mean, that's the hustle, I guess.
So just exaggerated with the 100 ideas, but do you legitimately have like 20 ideas going at the same time?
I think I would say I have like probably 20 ideas that exist as ideas. I probably have 10 that exist as something a little bit more than that, and probably three that exist as something that have actually been, any sort of footage has been shot for.
For these ideas, are they generally all the highbrow look at a lowbrow thing?
Or the lowbrow look at a highbrow thing. I think that's a really fun way of putting it. And it could honestly go either way.
So are we allowed to know what's next, or we just have to follow you on Instagram and IMDb rumors?
I mean, I wish I had news to break with you today, but soon, my friend, soon.
And this time of year, of course, the holiday season, SantaCon, is it, and don't sugarcoat this answer, is it your least favorite time of the year or your most favorite time of the year?
I never really had much of a relationship with the holidays, growing up. I love some Christmas movies, of course. In my family, we weren't like wait in line at the mall to sit on Santa's lap kind of people. And I think the thing that struck me about the characters in the SantaCon movie and what made it honestly a Christmas movie to me is that a lot of these people had complex or even negative relationships with Christmas growing up. And through the power of collaboration, community, and, I guess just whatever that je ne sais quoi of holiday magic is, they're able to rebuild and reclaim this holiday and the iconography of the holiday with Santa Claus into something that spoke to them. And so I think you'd like that was the very first thing that jumped out to me when talking to people is how much some of them hated Christmas and hated the idea of Santa Claus because they felt lied to or they felt like Christmas wasn't all they had hoped it would be as kids. And through SantaCon, they were able to make it into something else. And that gave me this Christmas movie arc. And honestly, making this movie gave me that arc to some degree too. And now I'm excited about SantaCon for the first time in my life, I'd say.
Well, two quick questions and then I let you go. The first one, sort of a compliment, sort of a lazy lack of research thing. I enjoy the score and the music in the film. Reminds me of Gary Newman in a very good way. Who's to credit for that?
Oh my goodness. Okay, thank you for asking about the score. Hayes Holiday made the score. He also worked on Class Action Park, and this year his credits were SantaCon and Weapons. So, yes.
Can't afford him
And so
anymore.
Yes, exactly. So luckily, I got him before Weapons came out because I probably wouldn't. No, Hayes is amazing. He and his brother Ryan did Class Action Park for me as the Holiday Brothers. I went to high school with both of them, and so it's really wonderful to work with old friends. And then we have also, I think, a lot of really awesome needle drops in our movie. And my music supervisor Willa is just such a star at helping us get songs that there's no reason an independent documentary like ours should ever be able to get our hands on.
And the fact that that's a high school friend of yours ties in with the last thing I was trying to figure out. Where are you from? Are you originally a Jersey person, hence knowing Action Park?
I grew up in the Washington D.C. area. My dad is a Jersey person, and certainly I went to Action Park as a kid, just by virtue of being, I guess, a second generation Jerseyite, I suppose, and finding my way up there.
Now I know. Well, we'll
Yeah.
make sure that gets updated in your Wikipedia. But in the meantime, Seth, hey, congrats on this film. Looking forward to what's to come. And thank you for the highbrow, lowbrow hybrid that you do with all your work.
Lowbrow, highbrow, either way. Let's pick our poison. Thank you, Darren.
Outro.